Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for one bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Good morning, friends. It is Tuesday, October 4th. You are listening to Moneyball Minute, and my name is Kirk Henderson, and I'm editor-in-chief of MavsMoneyball.com. Thank you for starting off your day with me. Just a quick reminder, folks, I really like it when you guys send me the various Mavs stuff you see around the internet. You know, I troll Twitter, Reddit, all the good, the right spots to look for Maverick stories, but there's so many outlets, so many places. I want to highlight people's work. If you're a content creator, send it my way. I really like reading people's work. It's, and sharing it too. It's one of the benefits of having a platform like we have at Mavs Moneyball. There's a number of pieces I would like to get to kind of start off your day right. The first is a piece by one of our new contributors, Brent Brooks, who wrote a piece called "Finding Flow is Key to a Championship Run for the Dallas Mavericks." He goes on to talk about a kind of concept in psychology about, I'm just going to read it to you, frankly. Quote, "The core concept revolves around how much our experience in a given pursuit correlates to the level of skill we possess and the scale of the challenge being faced. Too much skill and not enough challenge. As the heat lowers, we first get relaxed, then downright bored, and finally apathetic. Too much challenge and not enough skill. We first get focused, then stressed, then frantic, then resigned to inevitable defeat. We know these truths innately before we ever hear the concept spelled out explicitly. Once we find these states of being relative to each other, it all feels like long-known universal truth of finally finding visual form before our eyes." All right, guys, so obviously not a single word about that, about basketball, but Brent does a really nice job relating this function back to the team and what the Mavericks need to find as a concept this year. He breaks it down in terms of how these concepts work within them, what the Mavericks have done and what the Mavericks he thinks they're going to do. I really like this piece. It's a bit of a long read to start your day if you missed it. We're pumping out, 3, 4, 5 pieces a day over at Mavs Moneyball, and sometimes it's easy to not go to the site at all. And, I don't necessarily think people are revved up for basketball quite yet. Again, this is in the show notes, and I really enjoyed this piece. I hope you go give it a listen. The second is from one of our new betting and gambling contributors, Sam. He wrote about the odds for the Mavericks this year, particularly the MVP odds and the season odds, and also gives kind of his take. We're going to be continuing to cover, gambling from, different points of view insofar as it relates back to the Mavericks this year. Luka is kind of the odds-on favorite to win the MVP at the moment, just like he was last year. Right now, he is at plus 450. Obviously, these things can be different according to books. I got Luka at, I want to say, plus 500 over the summer. And I also got Zion Williamson at plus 6,600, a couple of $10 bets I made when I was out in Las Vegas. The Mavericks at the moment are also plus 1,200 to win the Western Conference, which that feels like kind of a fun bet. If gambling is obviously risk reward, so there's some elements in this that Sam explains. He wrote probably one of my favorite lines about that I've seen in a piece this year. He says his advice on this, betting the Mavericks to win the Western Conference, quote, "I'm no astrology expert, so I'm never aware of when Mercury is in Gatorade, but the Doncic-Booker beef in the playoffs is the heel turn moment we were all waiting to unlock. We all remember what happened when LeBron turned villain and took his talents to South Beach. Although I do believe Luka is poised for an incredible MVP-like season, I'm never a fan of taking the favorite for futures bets. However, I do believe the Western Conference is wide open, and this Mavs team is built to match up well with their opponent on any given night, so I love the value here at plus 1,200. Just outstanding, Sam. Glad you wrote this for us. Go check that out. There's more on the piece. I didn't, these pieces are obviously quite lengthy. I'm just grabbing little snippets here and there. The third thing I would like to draw your attention to is one of the fun parts about preseason is I give our guys the ability to write about more than just the Mavericks. I know we're a Mavericks fan blog and we want to be focused on the Mavericks, but with Dallas kind of finally in, contention, fringe contention, whatever you want to call it, this is the fun time of year where you can actually look at other teams and do some, compare and contrast. Xavier starts us off by looking at the Pelicans, and he thinks that they're going to make some noise in the Western Conference, though he breaks down, what works with their team, what doesn't, where there's potential pitfalls. Like I mentioned earlier, they do have Zion Williamson, so that's there. When Zion plays, they are good. There's really no other way around it. They just don't have a lot of shooting. Anyway, it's a great piece from Xavier. I recommend going and checking it out. Again, these are all in the show notes. Then last, there's two pieces in a row I want to talk to you related to the same person. I wrote a preview, or basically a player preview of Josh Green's season, and then so did Dalton Trigg over at DallasBasketball.com. As you all know, Dalton used to be a contributor with us. He's one of my good friends. We go on shows together, talk to Dalton all day long. Dalton is the eternal optimist. I'm a bit of a shit. But I wrote my column is entitled "Josh Green is a Basketball Rorschach Test," and you see, I'm just firmly of the opinion that you see in Green what you want to see in Green. He has had a really nice preseason so far, limited opportunity for us to judge. We have a Fan Jam open practice, and then the practice on NBA TV where he looked good. There is no other way around this. Like, even as somebody who has been questioning his ability to really be an NBA level player at this point in his career, I feel fairly good about what I've seen so far. But this is the year that he has to show it. The Mavericks need depth. With Jalen Brunson walking, there's just an element of role for him, even if it's not the same role as Brunson. Minutes have to be soaked up. Ball handling has to occur. I've always kind of been questioning the role they've had Green in, which was really a 3-and-D guy. I think Green is more dynamic than that, in that he's just unorthodox. He's fast, he's strong, he's new to basketball, he's, relatively speaking, than a lot of the teams, so he just sees things a little bit differently. And so far in these two things we've seen on TV, he looks really good. How that translates to actual NBA basketball, well, we're going to find out about it tomorrow night when the Mavericks play their first preseason game. So I've linked to both my preview and then Dalton's preview. Dalton, love me some Dalton. He's just feeling very, very bullish on him. He notes like the Mavericks record whenever Green plays a lot of minutes, saying, quote, Green scored double-digit points 8 times last season, and the Mavericks were 7-1 in those 8 games. Dallas was 14-2 when Green scored at least 8 points. His best performance came in back-to-back January games where he scored a career-high 17 points against the Rockets and then another career-high 18 points 2 days later against the Chicago Bulls. Long story short, good things happen when Green scores the ball, and the Mavericks will hope to get that more consistently this season, end quote. I tend to agree with Dalton in that respect. I wrote in my piece about how really what the Dallas needs is just more from Green. His statistical contributions last year when he played 15 minutes a game were really non-existent, like 4 points, 2 rebounds, partial, and assist. He just needs to do more. He needs to be more proactive and contribute that way. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Mavericks are able to do with him. The last two pieces are also DallasBasketball.com pieces, one by Dalton and one by Grant Afseth, and they were both focused on Spencer Dinwiddie. Dalton wrote kind of a really bullish preview on what Spencer Spencer Dinwiddie can bring off the bench. Can bring now that he's no longer on the bench. And then Grant builds a story around Dinwiddie, returning and basically being a starter. And Grant uses a quote from Dinwiddie, quote, "Last year was a rehab year. I got cleared to play from ACL in 5 months, and I think the first game was 8 or 7 months away from surgery. Now we're 20 months outside of that. If you ask anybody that's been through any major injury, to even be able to come back that quickly is definitely a testament to the work. But it's just completely different being almost 2 years removed." Dinwiddie is right. I'm always a little skeptical about whether a guy can find a way back to playing. He played some of his best basketball with the Mavericks in those 25 games of regular season. Whether he can do that again, I think it's a little much to expect him to shoot 41% from three, but I think if he can shoot in the mid-30s above his career average, if he can just do some of the things that the Mavericks need as a ball handler position, it's going to be a big deal. I'm really looking forward to seeing Spencer Dinwiddie play. All right, guys, this is it for me right now. Please stop by MavsMoneyball.com. We have a ton of stuff up, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you think about it. Please, join our site, comment on those sorts of things. Send me notes. I read just about every DM I get, email I get, and try to respond as much as possible. Again, send me work that you see. YouTube, podcasts, all sorts of stuff. I really like seeing what else is being said about the Dallas Mavericks. I just realized this now that I'm almost done recording, but Kevin O'Connor had a piece up on the Ringer today that I'm going to link to that talks about Christian Wood being an X factor. And it was just another really good piece. I mean, I think people are trying to reconcile the West being very, very good with how good the Mavericks are capable of being. Because a lot of people, I think, are sort of down on the Mavericks being a Western Conference Finals team again, which is understandable. But I think at the moment, everyone is also understanding that the Mavericks are capable of winning a lot of basketball games if things break right. All right, folks, been a great way to start my Tuesday morning. I hope to talk to you out there on the internet, and we will be back either tomorrow or maybe not until tomorrow night after the first preseason game for the Dallas Mavericks. Everybody, talk to you soon and have a great Tuesday.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.